So the code challenge that you're about to do comes from a really interesting phenomenon that you might find in London. I live in London and it's well known as a big financial district. So when you head over to the city or the financial area in London and you go into a restaurant, you might see a strange thing happen. You might see a whole bunch of people in suits who look very much like the financial banker types. um, at the time when they actually need to pay the bill, you see everybody pull out their business cards and put it into a bowl. So, what's actually going on here? A friend of mine told me apparently there's this game that the rich banker types play where it's kind of like Russian roulette with the bill. So everybody puts their business card in, and the person's card who gets picked out has to pay for everybody's bill, which is kind of crazy, but then again, it's finance. But you know what? We don't need anybody in finance because we are programmers and we can do everything they can do just by writing code. So here's the challenge. You are to look through this friends list and you're going to write some code using what you've learned about randomization in Python and also lists in Python to be able to print out a random one of these names. So each time you run the code, it will print out a different name. So if I run the solution file, you can see that each time it prints out a different random name from this list of friends. So think about how you might solve this challenge. You can look through the list of hints in the description box here, but think back to what you've learned in today's lessons and see if you can solve this challenge. Pause the video now. All right, so what we want to do is to be able to tap into this list and get hold of a random item. Now, there's two ways of doing this, and it depends on which path you went down. So let's go through the first way, which is maybe you thought, let's go through the documentation. So if you look through the random documentation, which we saw earlier in today's lessons, you might scroll through all of this and think, there must be a way that Python has created for us to be able to randomly get items from lists. Now, it's not easy to find, but there is one. It's random.choice. Now, another way you might have arrived at this is simply using the Google search and saying, get random item from list and then adding the word Python at the end. And you might look through Stack Overflow and you might come across the same function. Then you can go in the documentation and see how it works and read about it. So this is probably the simplest way to do it. And we can simply print random. Now, in order to use this module, you can see we need to use the import statement. Otherwise, it doesn't know what random is. So let's import random first. You can see that error goes away. And then within the random module, I'm going to use the choice function. And this function takes as its input a sequence. Now, the list is one such type of sequences in Python, and there are others which we will learn about in later lessons. But this is all that it takes to go ahead and pick out a random name from this list. Now, this is option number 1. And this is something that you might have thought of based on, thinking about documentation and thinking about how we can find out things from the internet. And this is a really, really key skill of programmers. But the other key skill is figuring out how to do something based on what we already know how to do. So the second option is to use what we already know, which is we know that we can use random.randint to get a random integer, and we can set the range of random numbers. So we know that lists start counting from 0. So Alice is at index 0. So we would need random numbers between 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if we do randint 0, 4, then we will get a random number anywhere between 0 and 4, including 0 and 4. Now, if this is our random index, then we can use this random index to print out a random name from the friends list. So remember, we can tap into a list, add a set of square brackets, and then put in an index to fetch an item from that list. So if I go ahead and run this file, you'll see that the first name comes from the first random.choice, and the second one comes from using the random index. And you can see that they're both random and they both go through our list and they both do exactly the same function. And if you picked option 1 or if you picked option 2, it's totally the same. It's up to you how you decided to complete this challenge. Both ways are equally valid. Now, in reality, if you know that there is something called random.choice, you would probably go for this because it's less code and it's pretty readable, random choice from this list. But the second option is also equally valid. So if you didn't manage to complete the challenge, or if you had any bugs in your code, go back and fix that now. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next lesson.
Thanks for watching the video till the end. Please leave your thoughts below so we can discuss more about the topic. If you'd like to suggest a video that could help the community, feel free to message me on X or Instagram. We also share short videos on Instagram, so make sure to follow us there. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and might even create a video based on your suggestion.